What if I told you that the world didn't wake up one morning to find money broken because money was never real to begin with? That the thing you chase, save, fear, worship, and measure your entire life with is nothing more than a story told so perfectly that humanity forgot it was a story at all. Imagine this. Somewhere in the quiet halls of power rooms you will never enter, meetings you will never hear about, men in suits discovered a truth so dangerous that it had to be hidden behind interest rates, debt ceilings, financial jargon, and the glow of digital screens. A truth that money, the very oxygen of civilization, could be manufactured like smoke and erased like a shadow, and yet still control billions of people as if it were carved out of stone. The disappearance didn't happen in a single year, or a single policy, or a single speech. It happened slowly, silently, like a light fading in a room you don't realize is getting darker. Long before your parents were born, long before economists invented their comforting theories, the world began drifting from something real gold, land, labor, time end, drifting towards something engineered, fragile, abstract, and no one noticed, because the illusion didn't collapse. Evil. Empires before us tried similar tricks, kingdoms stamping coins with less metal, emperors soaking copper and silver to fool the crowds, dynasties printing notes until markets choked on them. Their failures are written in dust, but their temptation lives on in every government you see today. The modern world perfected their mistakes. It learned not to change the money you hold, but to change your understanding of money itself. It replaced value with faith, scarcity with policy, limits with imagination. And once money was untethered from reality, a new kind of power was born, one that didn't conquer with armies, but with debt, didn't rule with swords, but with interest, didn't collapse with war, but with the quiet hum of printers hidden behind closed doors. And this system works only as long as you never ask the forbidden question. What is the thing I am being paid with? Because the moment you ask, the illusion flickers. Look, around every crisis of the last 50 years is a shadow cast by that flicker. Booms that appear out of nowhere. Crashes that erase decades overnight. Bubbles inflated by nothing but optimism and deflated by nothing but panic. Governments rushing in with answers they create out of thin air, pouring trillions into the world like a doctor treating a patient with a drug he can afford to stop giving. The truth is, the global economy is not a machine, it's a performance, a delicate theater where confidence is the stage, debt is the script, and central banks are the unseen directors praying the audience never stands up and walks out. And while this show plays, ordinary people live inside the consequences without ever seeing the cause. Salaries that don't keep up, savings that evaporate quietly, houses that drift forever out of reach, currencies that lose meaning from one decade to the next. But the darkest part is not what has happened, it's what's coming. Because a system built on trust inevitably moves toward control. Money that was once metal, then paper, then numbers on a screen, is now becoming code, programmable, traceable, switchable. Switchable. A world where the same authority that creates your money can decide if you're allowed to spend it. Where every purchase writes a line in your file. Where economic freedom becomes a setting someone can toggle. And while people argue over politics, culture, trends, distractions, the architecture of a new financial world is being assembled beneath their feet. The day money stopped being real is not a moment in history, it's the world we live in right now. A world where the illusion is so complete that most people will never question it, never see it, never understand how close they are standing to the edge of a system that was never designed to protect them. Money didn't vanish. Reality did. And until people understand the story they're living inside, they will continue to mistake the illusion for truth and the cage for freedom. And if you think this illusion will expose itself naturally, it won't. Illusions don't collapse on their own. They collapse when the people inside them begin to question the walls. But most people won't. Because the modern system has engineered something far more effective than obedience. Distraction, endless entertainment, endless news cycles, endless political noise, designed to keep your eyes anywhere except the mechanisms that shape your life. Meanwhile, the architects of this system keep refining it, creating models so complex even experts pretend to understand them, designing financial instruments so abstract that only algorithms can interpret them, building digital rails that can trace every movement of your wealth before you even finish the transaction. And beneath this rising digital empire lies a simple, terrifying truth. Once money becomes programmable, people become programmable. When your paycheck is just an entry in a government ledger, when your savings exist only as digits in someone else's database, when every currency can be frozen, reversed, taxed, restricted, or expired with a line of code, freedom stops being a right and becomes a setting controlled by institutions you don't vote for, leaders you'll never meet, systems you can't audit, and rules written in rooms with no cameras and no witnesses. And still, the illusion holds, because every time the system cracks, it patches itself with more of the same thing that broke it. More money, more credit, more promises. We've reached a point where global debt is not a burden, it's the spine of the entire world order. Remove it, and the structure collapses. Expand it, and the risk grows. This is the paradox of the modern age. The only way to keep the system alive is to feed it the poison that will eventually kill it. So where does it end? With a quiet failure, or a loud one? With a digital reset, or an engineered reinvention? History tells us that when money loses touch with reality, societies don't drift gently into a new chapter. They are pushed violently into one. And the signs are already appearing. Widening inequality, silent inflation, eating away at savings, assets priced beyond reason, nations weaponizing currencies against each other, and ordinary people feeling a pressure they can't name but can't escape. The illusion is thinning. The story is fraying, and deep beneath the surface of your everyday life, the system is whispering a warning that most will ignore until it becomes impossible to ignore. Because when money finally stops being real in the minds of the people, not just policymakers, the world doesn't adjust, it transforms. And those who understand the illusion before it breaks aren't just observers of the next era, they re-survivors of it. But the strangest part is this. Every generation believes the illusion they inherit is permanent. Romans believed their coins would hold value forever. The emperors of ancient China believed paper could replace metal without consequence. Citizens in Weimar Germany believed their currency collapse was a temporary storm. Argentinians believed each reset would be the last. And today, most people believe that digital numbers glowing on their screens are immune to the same fate. That our world is too advanced to fail. That governments know what they're doing. That the system is too big to collapse. But size doesn't prevent fragility, it magnifies it. And right now, the global system is stretched across a tightrope woven from confidence, held up by trust, and balanced above a reality no one wants to look down into. Because down below is the truth. The value of money has always been a mirror, not a foundation. It reflects belief, it reflects stability, it reflects fear. And mirrors can shatter. When that moment comes, whether through inflation that spirals quietly, a digital reset disguised as innovation, or a loss of confidence that spreads faster than any virus, the world won't react with shock. It will react with confusion. People will search for answers that were in front of them the entire time, and a new question will rise. What replaces money when the story it was built on collapses? Digital chains that track every movement, or a return to something real, or a new illusion crafted by those who survived the last one? That chapter hasn't been written yet, but it will be, sooner than anyone expects. And the difference between those who are crushed by the next shift and those who rise above it is simple. Awareness. The courage to question the story. The ability to see through the fog before it becomes smoke. The wisdom to prepare before the curtain falls. If you've watched this far, you're already among the few who see the cracks forming in the walls. The few who understand that history isn't behind us, it's circling back. And if you want to go deeper, if you want to understand the illusions shaping your world, the forces behind your economy, and the truth hidden beneath everyday life. Stay close, because the next chapter is darker, stranger, and far more important than the last. Subscribe, not for me, but so you don't wake up one morning inside a system you no longer recognize. Like the video if you felt the shift. Share it with someone who still believes money is real, and prepare yourself, because the story we're about to uncover next will change the way you see everything.